How certain are you that you're taking proper care of your pets? How often do you take them to the vet? Just as we need annual checkups with our doctors, most pets need regular checkups too. Owning and caring for a family pet doesn't have to be a difficult or burdensome experience. Nationwide 90 FM has an exciting feature called Pets World that will help you take better care of your pets. Join Nationwide 90 FM every Wednesday at 6:50 a.m. during the program This Morning as we take you into the do's and don'ts of caring for your pets. That's Pets World every Wednesday at 6:50 a.m. during the program This Morning on Nationwide 90 FM, a revolution in media.
Ready to tackle that building project? Start right. Start here at H&L Rapid True Value for building supplies. The time by H&L Rapid True Value is
Nationwide time, 5 o'clock.
Interex Distributors presents the ultimate tile clearance sale. Transform your space for less. Dunrobin Plaza, 30 Dunrobin Avenue. The temperature by Interex Distributors is...
It's 29 degrees Celsius in Kingston, 30 in Montego Bay.
From the Nationwide News Network, comprehensive, incisive, tough. This is Nationwide at 5.
Good afternoon, I'm Robianne Williams.
And I'm Mahiri Stewart.
In Nationwide News at this hour, more concern being expressed about the limited scope of engagement surrounding the National Reconstruction and Resilience Authority NARA bill.
Group of 28 civil society organizations and individuals call for multi-stakeholder dialogue to ventilate concerns expressed about the proposed legislation.
Search underway for new BOJ governor.
Murders down 23% so far this year.
Custis of St. James Bishop Conrad Pitkin says murder of woman at church mirrors gradual erosion of the church's sanctity in Jamaica.
It speaks to the erosion of respect for life and for the sanity of the space traditionally regarded as a place of refuge.
In news from the rest of the world, Kenyan police withdrawal from Haiti begins amid gang pressure.
Shooting suspect charged with attempted assassination of Trump at Washington dinner.
In sports, J3A sets record straight over Oblique Seville's withdrawal from World Relays.
And later in our broadcast, in our cover story at 5:35, the Sugar Industry Authority says the resumption of normal operations at Pan Caribbean Sugar Company's production plant will depend on verification and approval from regulators. This follows reports of potential contamination in retail sugar products linked to the company. The authority's CEO, Rupert Steele, and Industry, Investment and Commerce Minister, Senator Aubin Hill, will join us.
In the nation's business at 6:25, 28 civil society organizations and individuals are again raising concerns about the scope of engagement surrounding the NARA bill. We'll hear from a few of them.
Taking you around the world at 6:45, U.S. President Donald Trump lashed out at CBS News' Nora O'Donnell in an interview Sunday for quoting from the manifesto of the suspected gunman who tried to storm the White House Correspondents' Dinner. You'll hear more. And at 7, it's the comments section with Shalois Michael and Mahiri Stewart. This evening, they're asking, how should schools respond to bullying? Give us your comments by logging on to our Facebook page, Nationwide News Network, and by tweeting us at Nationwide Radio, and message us on WhatsApp at 876-285-5693. You can also leave your comments on Instagram at Nationwide 90 FM. All these and more as we take you home on air. Nationwide 90 FM this Monday afternoon. It's Monday, April 27, 2026.
If it's news, it's got to be Nationwide 90 FM.
Now to the details. Re-engage stakeholders about the proposed National Reconstruction and Resilience Authority NARA legislation. That's the call from a group of 28 civil society organizations and individuals amid growing unease about the proposed legislation. The group has written to the government outlining their serious concerns about the limited scope of engagement surrounding the bill currently before Parliament. Mahiri Stewart has that story.
In a joint statement led by human rights lobby group Jamaicans for Justice, JFJ, and Jamaica Environment Trust, JET, on Monday, The groups say despite issues raised by various stakeholders, the government has shown no signs of addressing the raft of concerns expressed by various stakeholders about NARA. JFJ and JET say they formally submitted detailed concerns and recommendations to the Office of the Prime Minister and the Leader of the Opposition on March 30. In their joint submission, JET and JFJ highlighted several critical concerns with the bill in its current form. These include the highly centralized CEO-driven structure with insufficient independent oversight and weak provisions for transparency, accountability, and public participation. The submission also expressed worry about what it says is the absence of a clearly defined governing board with delineated responsibilities and inadequate safeguards to ensure long-term resilience, environmental protection, and public trust. It adds that to date, no response has been received from the Office of the Prime Minister, leaving uncertainty as to whether these submissions are being meaningfully considered in the parliamentary process. The statement highlights commentary in the media, as well as statements from the Incorporated Master Builders Association of Jamaica, West Central St. James MP Marlene Malahoo Fort of the JLP, and several members of the opposition as instances in which concerns were raised about NARA. The group says despite the range of perspectives, the tone of the government's side of the debate appears more focused on defending the bill than constructively addressing legitimate critique and alternative proposals. In light of these shortcomings, the groups are calling for the immediate convening of a genuine multi-stakeholder dialogue. They want the written submissions from all relevant stakeholder groups to be accepted within the next 2 weeks, followed by structured discussions over 1 to 2 days to fully interrogate the issues raised. The groups say if this does not happen, the government should instead follow Opposition Leader Mark Golding's suggestion of establishing a joint select committee with deliberations and recommendations completed within 6 weeks. They note that while they recognize the urgency of advancing legislation to support post-Hurricane Melissa reconstruction and long-term national resilience, expediency must not come at the expense of good governance. Mahiri Stewart for Nationwide News.
The Minister of Finance is searching for a new governor of the Bank of Jamaica BOJ. This as Richard Biles is set to demit office as head of the central bank on August 18. Dana Davey reports.
Minister of Finance and the Public Service Favour Williams announced the search for a new BOJ governor in a statement on Monday. She says the process will identify the best suited candidate, entrenching stability, modernizing the financial system, and ensuring that the gains of sound monetary policy are felt across the broader economy in jobs and investments. Minister Williams also announced that a search committee has been tasked with finding Governor Biles' replacement. The 4-member committee is comprised of Calvin MacDonald, Ambassador Catherine Phipps, Professor Delroy Hunter, and Minna Israel. MacDonald is an eminent Jamaican with 29 years as a staff economist at the International Monetary Fund, who, after several senior appointments, retired in 2021 as Deputy Secretary of the IMF. Ambassador Catherine Phipps is an attorney at law who has practiced law in Jamaica, St. Kitts and Nevis, the Commonwealth of the Bahamas, and Grenada. Professor Delroy Hunter is the Sergei Bonani Professor of International Finance at the University of South Florida and a former Commonwealth scholar. And Minna Israel is an accomplished financial services professional with extensive senior executive and board of director experience in leading strategic transformation at large and complex organizations. Minister Williams says the search committee will assist in identifying a short list of suitable candidates for the position. From this list, a submission will be made to the cabinet concerning the individual to be recommended to the Governor General for appointment in accordance with the Bank of Jamaica Act. Dana Davey for Nationwide News.
The country has recorded a 23% drop in homicides across the island since the start of the year. That's the latest crime update from the Jamaica Constabulary Force, JCF. It says up to April 27, 174 murders had been recorded in the country. That's 53 fewer than the 227 people killed in the corresponding period last year. According to the police, St. James leads the murder tally, recording 22 homicides since the start of the year. On the other hand, St. Andrew North has seen the biggest drop, registering only 1 murder over the period. It's a 91% decline from the 12 recorded over the corresponding period last year. Shootings are also on the decline. The JCF says 165 shooting incidents were recorded between January 1 and April 27 this year. That's 78 fewer than over the same period in 2025. Rape is down by 6%, robberies 16%, and break-ins are down 11%.
Meanwhile, St. Mary Police Division has recorded significant reduction in all major crimes. Commanding Officer for the division, Superintendent Anthony Wallace, gave Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness the update during a visit to the parish on Friday.
The parish of St. Mary is safe. Currently, sir, we're experiencing a 44% reduction in murders, 50% reduction in shooting, and very impressive, sir, is that our clear-up rate for murder is 120%, our clear-up rate for shooting 175%, and 81% clear-up rate for all major crimes. Sir, we are heading in the right direction.
Superintendent Wallace credited the reduction to collaborative efforts between communities and the police.
What is important as well is the efforts that we have made in our community intervention. We continue to partner with the residents. Our collaborative efforts are reaping fruits, and we think that this is the way to go as we aim to make St. Mary the safest parish in Jamaica. So the men and women of the St. Mary Division continue to remain very focused. They're very astute in their job. Professionalism is the hallmark of our service, and so we think that the foundation is laid for a safe parish.
Superintendent Anthony Wallace, Commanding Officer for the St. Mary Police Division.
Pastor of the Montego Bay New Testament Church of God in St. James, Bishop Ruel Robinson, says the church doors will remain open despite last Wednesday's shooting death of a woman on the compound.
The incident took place in the peak of worship, which claimed her life, traumatized worshippers, both home and online. And right now, fear grips the church. There are more questions than answers. This strategic move by the devil will not allow us to relent, retreat, or surrender. We will use this opportunity, though tragically, to pull us closer to the Lord and to strengthen our resolve to move forward in the name of the Lord.
The deceased woman is identified as 38-year-old Cora Thompson. The shooting, which took place sometime after 3 p.m., was captured during the church's live stream. Thompson stood at the church doors during a fasting service when she was gunned down. She was rushed to the hospital where she was pronounced dead. Bishop Robinson says come Wednesday, fasting service will be in session.
We will not fight with our hands. We will not hire for additional help. All we have to do, just pray. The doors of the church will never close. Fasting, full speed ahead, Wednesday. We pray for the family, and we will continually to pray for our sister's family, that God will strengthen them at this time.
Bishop Ruel Robinson, pastor of the Montego Bay New Testament Church of God. He was speaking at the church's Sunday service.
Meanwhile, Custos Rotalorum for St. James Bishop Conrad Pitkin says Thompson's murder mirrors the gradual erosion of the church's sanctity in Jamaica.
What happened here Wednesday afternoon is a reflection of the society in which we live. Need not say today that the act was barbaric, egregious, and deeply troubling. It speaks, brothers and sisters, to the erosion of respect for life and for the sanity of the space traditionally regarded as a place of refuge.
The Jamaica Umbrella Groups of Churches, JUGC, has also condemned the murder as a demonstration of gross impunity and fearless lack of respect for God. Bishop Pitkin says the safety of the church is becoming a principle of the past.
There was once when you could run to the church, not just inside the sanctuary, but anywhere on the church compound, and you would be felt secured, because no one would dare come into the church premises, more so anywhere in the sanctuary or close to the sanctuary, to have done what happened on Wednesday. And you know, Bishop, what bothered me most? It was in the midst of a fasting service. It was not just ordinary gathering. And when this has happened, we know where we are in Jamaica.
Bishop Conrad Pitkin, Custos Rotalorum for St. James. He was also speaking at the Sunday service at the New Testament Church of God in Montego Bay. You're listening to Nationwide News at 5. More news after these.
You're listening to Nationwide 90 FM. The time is
5:14.
Path beneficiaries. The April payment cycle is here and ready for collection. Post offices and payment agencies will deliver payments based on last names up to May 5, 2026. Be sure to check the Weekend Star on April 24 to find out when you should collect. If you miss your date, you must collect on May 6 or 7, 2026. For more information, call Path at 876-922-8000-13 or visit the ministry's website at www.mlss.gov.jm. Path, advancing your family, developing Jamaica. A message from the Ministry of Labor and Social Security. The People's Ministry, leaving no one behind.
Continuing the news, tears flowed in the Supreme Court on Monday as a mother struggled to describe the condition of her daughter's body as part of evidence tied to a murder in the ongoing Clansman gang trial. The prosecution is aiming to prove that her daughter, who was a Crown witness in the trial, is in fact dead. The emotional testimony came as the court moved to deal with counts 15 and 16 on the indictment, the murder and robbery with aggravation of Noah Smith on February 7, 2020. Robian Williams reports.
4 men are charged in relation to the murder and robbery with aggravation of Noah Smith on February 7, 2020 in St. Andrew. They are defendants Michael Wildman, Jerome Spike, Nashawn Guest, and Giovanni MacDonald. The first witness was called as part of an application under Section 31D of the Evidence Act, which allows for evidence to be admitted where a witness is deceased. In this case, the evidence is only admissible if it is proved to the satisfaction of the court that the witness is dead. The woman told the court her daughter died in February 2021 from kidney failure and COVID-19 and was buried the following month. When asked by the prosecutor how her daughter appeared at the graveside, the witness broke down in tears. While holding her head and crying in the witness box, she said, "She was Vix. Her face was Vix. My daughter was brown, she was black. The only reason I know it's her was because she was my daughter. She was in the casket, dead." She told the court she would be able to recognize her daughter by her features and birthmarks. During the proceedings, the witness was shown an image which she identified as her daughter. The image was admitted into evidence after much objection from the defense. She also testified that her daughter worked as a promotional dancer and had done work at a nightclub. But under cross-examination, defense attorney Sasha K. Shaw questioned the clarity of the image shown to the witness. The witness agreed that the image was a bit blurry, and when pressed further accepted that the facial features in the photograph were not clear. Meanwhile, attorney Paul Gentles, representing 2 of the accused men, questioned the witness about her daughter's movements. She confirmed that her daughter would travel to Kingston to work on occasion. When asked if her daughter worked with Noah Smith, the witness said, "I don't know the name of the person she worked with." Gentles pressed further, "Your daughter didn't tell you the type of work she did in Kingston?" To which the Crown objected and the question was withdrawn. 25 accused, including the alleged gang leader Tesha Miller, are facing charges of being part of a criminal organization, murder, wounding with intent, and robbery. The matter will continue on Tuesday morning at 10 o'clock. Robian Williams for Nationwide News.
Another incident involving a student is making the rounds on social media. This time, the video appears to show a bus conductor carrying out the assault. The 10-second clip appears to show a male repeatedly striking the face of a Queen's School student who was seated next to a window. The alleged attacker, who was standing over the student, is of slim build and dark complexion. He was wearing a grey jacket and yellow shirt with a black and white handkerchief tied to his head. The schoolgirl, who's seemingly of a smaller build, is seen holding down her face while trying to defend herself. Another Queen's student, standing behind the victim, is also seen striking the man during the incident. The man attempts to hit her while continuing the attack on the main victim. Other passengers are heard encouraging the schoolgirls, shouting, "Beat him," while another repeatedly calls out, "Doctor." The video ended after someone pulled the aggressor from the victim. Nationwide News contacted the St. Andrew-based high school for a comment but was told no one was available to speak. Checks with the Jamaica Constabulary Force's Communications Unit indicate that no report has been filed on the incident.
World in a Minute is brought to you by ABC Electrical Sales. We make things as easy as ABC. Hose assembly and supply, equipping Jamaica for success.
And Charles O'Connor Consulting Network, COCN, driven by international accounting standards, modern technology and integrity.
The World in a Minute.
Haiti's already fragile security landscape is entering a new phase as nearly 500 Kenyan police officers begin a gradual withdrawal after months of supporting operations against armed gangs across the country. The departure is expected to be completed by Thursday. It's left the Haitian National Police and the armed forces of Haiti scrambling to address critical operational gaps. Officials expect the armed forces of Haiti to reach about 400 personnel by the end of April. The country's defense ministry has announced plans to train 1,200 new recruits to strengthen military capacity.
The man who authorities say tried to storm the White House Correspondents Association dinner with guns and knives was charged on Monday. Cole Thomas Allen has been charged with the attempted assassination of U.S. President Donald Trump. He's also charged with 2 additional firearms counts, including discharging a weapon during a crime of violence. Allen appeared in court on Monday to face federal charges after the chaotic encounter on Saturday. He was ordered to remain jailed pending additional court hearings and faces up to life in prison if convicted of the assassination count alone. Allen is set to appear at a detention hearing on Thursday.
World in a Minute was brought to you by ABC Electrical Sales. We make things as easy as ABC. Hose assembly and supply, equipping Jamaica for success.
And Charles O'Connor Consulting Network, COCN, driven by international accounting standards, modern technology and integrity.
Recapping the top stories making nationwide news at this hour, group of 28 civil society organizations and individuals calls for multi-stakeholder dialogue to ventilate concerns about the NARA bill.
Search underway for new BOJ governor.
Murders down 23% so far this year.
Custos of St. James Bishop Conrad Pitkin says murder of a woman at church mirrors gradual erosion of the church's sanctity in Jamaica.
I'm Robeanne Williams.
And I'm Mahiri Stewart.
Join the Nationwide Family Club at patreon.com/Nationwide News Network. News next, the headlines at 6.
Remember the first time, the first glance, the first touch, and rediscover that feeling. At Couples Resorts, every stay feels like the first time all over again. Escape to a couples-only all-inclusive paradise with gourmet dining, premium cocktails, and unforgettable ocean views, all included. Jamaican residents can celebrate with exclusive rates from $405 USD per night, valid through April 30th. Visit couples.com/residence. Couples Resorts, like the first time, every time.
For 25 years, Digicel has been keeping Jamaica better connected. From late night calls to the texts, clicks, and moments that keep us close.
Hi, babes.
A network built in Jamaica for Jamaicans. But connection has never been just about the network. It's about the people behind every hello.
Yo, my general.
Celebrating 25 years. Digicel, powered by you, connected by us.
It's hard-hitting. It's riveting. It's the much-talked-about cover story during Nationwide at 5. Here Cliff Hughes get to the heart of the story of the day. Cover Story aired 5:30 weekdays during Nationwide at 5. Nationwide at 5. Talk radio at its best. Cover Story.
Cover Story is brought to you by JTA Credit Union, serving our members, impacting lives positively.
Multilink. Roll with control. Use Multilink. Safe, fast, and accepted in more locations.
Sports at 5 is brought to you by Total Tools. Total Tools. Every tool, every trade.
Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to Sports here on Nationwide 90 FM. I'm Wayne Walker. West Indies Test captain Ruston Chase and Joshua Bishop grabbed that combined 9 wickets as the Barbados Pride dismissed Jamaica Scorpions for 142 late on day 2 of their West Indies regional championship encounter over at Sabina Park. Chase ended with 5 for 28 and Bishop, he ended with 4 for 31 as the Scorpions innings lasted 169 minutes with captain John Campbell 36, Kirk McKenzie 31 and Javel Glenn 21, the only players on the Scorpions showing any resistance. And guess what? The Scorpions have been asked to follow on, and at sports time they're 14 for 1. They're still 283 behind. Earlier, the Tourists added 93 to their overnight total. They were all out eventually for 439. Chase added just 2 to his overnight 82. He was dismissed for 84, while Renico Boucher, he eventually ended on 50. Marquino Minley and O'Dane Smith bagging 3 wickets apiece for the Jamaica Scorpions. Over at the Antigua Recreation Ground, the captain Joshua De Silva, he made 220 as the Trinidad and Tobago Red Force, they declared on 522 for 9 against the Leeward Islands Hurricanes, who closed on 88 for 4 in reply. And over at the Coolidge Cricket Ground, the Windward Islands Volcanoes, they fell just short of first innings points over the Guyana Harpy Eagles. They were bowled out for 223 in response to 242 all out, and Guyana closed on 44 for 2, batting a second time with an overall lead of 63. The Jamaica Athletics Administrative Association, J3As, has dismissed media reports claiming that World 100 meters champion Oblique Seville withdrew from Jamaica's World Relays team due to a dispute over airline ticket costs. In a statement, the J3A said on Monday that the claims are factually incorrect, clarifying that there was never any impasse between the association and the management of Seville regarding payment for the travel. Instead, the issue centered on rescheduling. Specifically, it says the earliest possible return date to Miami to satisfy a contractual obligation. According to the J3As, Seville's agent was informed that the soonest available flight that would allow his return to Miami was after midday on May 5, and an earlier return could not be guaranteed. The association further revealed that on April 21, it received written confirmation from Seville's manager, Norman Peart, indicating the athletes' withdrawal from the World Relay team. The correspondents also expressed support for the team and reaffirmed Seville's availability for the 4x100 meters going forward. Mullines United, they were leading Tivoli Gardens by 1-0 in their rare nephew Jamaica Premier League encounter being played at Drax Hall in St. Anne. Top marksman Nicholas Nelson got the only goal so far for Mullines United. It came on minute 13. Now, a win for Mullines United, who are 12th on 36 points, will move them further away from the drop zone, while a win for Tivoli Gardens will keep them in 10th position, but they'll move just a point behind the 9th place team. And a little later on in the second game of the doubleheader down at Drax Hall, Mount Pleasant Academy will battle Waterhouse in a clash of teams who have already secured their spots in the playoff. And the management of the Spanish Town Police FC is already looking ahead as they consider a swift return to the Rare Nephew Jamaica Football Premier League after their relegation from the nation's top flight in their first season was confirmed on Sunday. They crashed to 6-2 to Chapelton Maroons, and even though they have 2 games remaining in the season, they will end at the foot of the table come the end of the season. And the club has managed only 7 wins, with 5 draws and 25 defeats, a total of 26 points in their 37 games so far. General Manager Demar Emily sought to explain to Nationwide Sports what has gone wrong in their debut season.
A lot went wrong, but it's a matter of us not getting the basics right in a couple of the games. You find that the team is a bit inconsistent in terms of our play. When we're good, we're very good, and we started against Mount Pleasant, we started against Dunbowling. But when we're bad, we're really bad. And just a matter of not being good majority of the time. So that's what basically had us. And then with the games playing back to back a lot of times, 3 games in a week with a very small squad like what we had, it just took a really bad impact on us in terms of physical play and matching the teams that are well established in the league.
And as I mentioned, they've got 2 games to go in the season. One against Racing, that's a St. Catherine derby. And they've got one against Arnett Gardens. And Emily says the team will be giving an honest effort right until the very end.
Next 2 games, we want to give a good account of ourselves. We want to win those 2 games. Next plan of action is definitely come and rebuild again. We have a full rebuild, but I think now we can have the team playing now in the tier 2. We can get the sponsors from the whole Harbour region. We can now fix up our own ground to have games played there. So with tier 2 playing in there, we'll have the backing of the community, and with that, the financial backing as well. And then from there, we can just merge up, come up into the Premier League and be better outfit. So within next year, we should be back in the Premier League with the quality of players that we have, the quality of youngsters that we have as well, because we have quite a few really exciting youngsters.
That's Demar Emily, is the general manager of the Spanish Town Police Football Club. And finally, Manchester United moved closer to securing a place in next season's European Champions League with a 2-1 victory over Brentford at Old Trafford in the English Premier League on Monday. First half goals from Brazil's captain Casemiro and the Slovenian international Benjamin Sesko did the job for United, who have now moved up to 61 points in third. They're just about 4 more points away from securing a return to Europe's elite.
No one's marking Maguire. Casemiro, it's in! It's 3-on-2. It's Bruno Fernandes. Who does he pick? Sesko! Does he fancy it? That's brilliant. What a strike from Matthias Jensen.
Yeah, Jensen putting a consolation in the bag there for Brentford in the end. So United on a massive streak. They've won now 9 out of 13 games since Michael Carrick took in charge of the club. And there's still a debate as to whether he should be given the job full-time come the end of the season. We'll see how that goes in a couple of weeks' time. But that will do it for sport at this time. And there's still cricket going on over at Sabina Park. The Barbados Pride bowled out the Scorpions for 142. And the Scorpions, they're following on. So Barbados making a rush to see if they could get into at least the one lone playoff spot they have before they get to the final of the championships. We're going to be back at 6:05 with more sports in our main sportscast. Adric Swaby will be your presenter.
Sports at 5 was brought to you by Total Tools. Total Tools, every tool, every trade.
For all your custom framing, printing, graphic design, and purchase of art, Make It Frame Art Jamaica Limited, serving you for over 40 years. The time by Frame Art Jamaica is
5:32.
Upgrade your drive with Hyundai and Scotiabank. 4.99% interest, 0 fees, and 1-year insurance free. Choose from the Hyundai Venue, Palisade, Tucson, or Creta. Visit Kingston or Montego Bay showrooms. The temperature by Hyundai is
29 degrees Celsius here in the nation's capital, Kingston. It's 28 in the western city, Montego Bay.
Path beneficiaries. The April payment cycle is here and ready for collection. Post offices and payment agencies will deliver payments based on last names up to May 5, 2026. Be sure to check the Weekend Star on April 24 to find out when you should collect. If you miss your date, you must collect on May 6 or 7, 2026. For more information, call Path at 876-922-8000-13 or visit the ministry's website at www.mlss.gov.jm. Path, advancing your family, developing Jamaica. A message from the Ministry of Labor and Social Security. The People's Ministry, leaving no one behind.
For 25 years, Digicel has been keeping Jamaica better connected. From late night calls to the texts, clicks, and moments that keep us close. Celebrating 25 years. Digicel, powered by you, connected by us.
Remember the first time? The first glance? the first touch, and rediscover that feeling. At Couples Resorts, every stay feels like the first time all over again. Escape to a couples-only all-inclusive paradise with gourmet dining, premium cocktails, and unforgettable ocean views. All included. Jamaican residents can celebrate with exclusive rates from $405 USD per night, valid through April 30th. Visit couples.com/residence. Couples Resorts, like the first time, every time.
Hi there. Here's some good news for these trying times. Quote, "By God's word, I can see where I'm going. They throw a beam of light on my dark path." Unquote. Psalm 119, verse 105. Listen for God's word weekdays at 5:45 a.m. and 12:55 p.m. through
Oasis. Stop by for a refreshing drink and share a God perspective for the day.
Oasis. Weekdays 5:45 a.m. and 12:55 p.m. right here on Nationwide, a revolution in media.
The rebroadcast of The Oasis can be heard weekdays at 5:45 a.m.
Turn up the heat with Hot Listing, Nationwide 90 FM's new on-air and online classifieds feature. If you have a car for sale, room for rent, or yard sale come up. If you look at work or need stuff. If you provide a service, make it a Hot Listing, Nationwide 90 FM's new on-air and online classified segment. Your listing plays again and again. From morning till evening. You sing it, we play it. You say it once, Jamaica hears it all day, every hour. Contact our sales team now at 876-630-1210 or sales at nationwidenewsnetwork.com. Hot Listings on Nationwide 90 FM, a new revolution in media.
Cover Story is brought to you by
Multilink. Roll with control. Use Multilink. Safe, fast, and accepted in more locations.
Multilink. Access every time, everywhere I go. Multilink. 24/7 access for me. It's just a win-win when we use Multilink. This card is Jamaican built, yeah. Fast and secure, you can use anywhere. Spend while supporting the economy.
Look for the Multilink logo on your card and benefit from Jamaica's largest debit payment network.
Multilink. 24/7 access for me.
What would I do without my Multilink?
Good afternoon. Thank you so very much for sticking and staying with us right here inside the Cover Story. It's Must Listen Radio right here on Nationwide at 5. You're inside the Cover Story. I'm Tyrone Reed. Top of the afternoon to you if you're listening on the 90 FM band. If you're over there on our YouTube channel as well, welcome to the program wherever you are listening around the world. Now, in the Cover Story, we want to turn our attention to the sugar saga that has been unfolding. Not very sweet it has been. Now, the Sugar Industry Authority, the SIA, has confirmed that metallic particles have been detected in some samples of brown sugar packaged by Pan-Caribbean Sugar Company. It says the particles are in trace amounts. Here's Dana Davey with our report.
The SIA says preliminary findings have revealed gaps in certain areas of the manufacturing and packaging processes at Pan-Caribbean's Froome plant, particularly relating to contaminant control systems. The authority says it has directed the sugar company to implement corrective measures and improving monitoring of finished products. Pan-Caribbean has been ordered closed amid reports of contamination of retail sugar products under its brand. In a statement issued on Sunday, the SIA said it has launched an investigation and intensified surveillance measures following the reports. It says a technical team was immediately deployed to the facility in Froome, Westmoreland, where on-site inspections and a formal probe are now underway. Samples taken from the plant were analyzed at the SIA's central laboratory, while additional testing was carried out at the island's other sugar manufacturing facility. The authority says resumption of normal operations will depend on verification and approval from regulators. In the meantime, Commanding Officer of the Agricultural Protection Branch, APB, Senior Superintendent Oral Pasco, says as investigations continue into a sugar smuggling racket, 2 Chinese businessmen have been arrested so far. 10 packages of brown sugar labeled Demerara Gold were found at a supermarket in Luana, St. Elizabeth. Demerara Gold is a Guyanese sugar brand. Following checks by the Sugar Industry Authority, it was discovered that no permit was issued for the importation or sale of the items. The items were seized and the owners of the establishment were arrested and charged for breaches of the Sugar Industry Control Act. SSP Pasco says there are other players involved in the scheme to import sugar illegally. He says operators of retail outlets selling packaged brown sugar under the Demerara Gold brand could be arrested if the product is found on their shelves. SSP Pasco is advising business operators with the product to contact the SIA. Dana Davey for Nationwide at 5.
Thank you so much, Dana, for the latest in this not-so-sweet saga. We're being joined by the Minister of Industry, Investment and Commerce, Senator Auburn Hill, as well as the CEO of the Sugar Industry Authority, the SIA, Rupert Steele. Gentlemen, top of the afternoon to you. Welcome to Nationwide at 5.
Very good to be on the air with you and your listeners.
Rupert Steele, are you with us?
Hi, good afternoon. Good afternoon, Tyrone. Pleasure to be here. Afternoon to your listeners. Afternoon, Minister.
Wonderful.
Hi, Mr. Steele. Evening. How are you doing?
Wonderful. I want to come to you, Mr. Steele, but let me just ask the business minister. How do you restore confidence in the minds of the Jamaican consumer and those consumers overseas after an incident of this nature?
You have to be very consistent about the testing that you do. Be as transparent as you can be. And that's what we've been doing. The NCRA, which is one of the 20 agencies in the ministry, has been doing the testing from last week, actually. And we've tested a lot of sugar. We have some more to be tested from a second manufacturer. But we've found the pieces of metal, the trace metals that you've heard about. And we have asked, the NCRA has sent out instruction to Pan-Caribbean manufacturer to say that this sugar cannot be sold and they need to pull from the distributors that they've given it to. And the NCRA has told the major distributor for Pan-Caribbean. The issue that I've heard the SIA and the police authorities that have identified as illicit trading goes right back to that matter I spoke about last week when we held a whole day or maybe a whole half a day on illicit trading. At that time, we were talking primarily about cigarettes and handbags and matters like that, but there are food items, as you've heard on that in your report, that apparently a brand from Guyana is being sold without proper import permit and so on. I'm sure SIA Mr. Steve will talk more about that. But the government has been right in this. The BSJ, of course, is a tester, but the NCRA is the implementer of our directions and our decisions. And those decisions have been conveyed to Pan-Caribbean.
What about those people, those members of the public, Minister, who are saying, how did the NCRA miss this? It's consumers who found the metallic traces in the product.
It's not unusual. It's not unusual for the users to be the first ones to say, hey, I noticed this. The NCRA tests across the board. And as you hear, the SIA has its own testing. So we in the government are very much alert, and the moment that happens, we're in there to make sure that because ordinary users can make allegations, we have to go in and test and make sure that before we make any announcements, we're pretty sure and it's protected. I notice the health ministry is also involved.
Yes, because
the
they
whole
issued the
of government
statement.
is looking at this.
Pardon me. Before I bring in Mr. Steele, one last one to you, Minister. What is the testing protocol? Do we test every batch? And if we did, would we have missed what seems to be a serious contamination?
What would happen is the manufacturer has the basic responsibility for its product. I understand, not officially, but I understand that there might have been a sieve at the end of the process that seemed to have needed some repair, and it may have been removed and not been replaced. I'm not sure of that. It's from a source that I respect, so I say it here, but that is being checked by, I imagine, the SIA, and of course NCRA are in there checking all that, and they probably have found the answer. So we haven't yet found the source of the contamination. We haven't confirmed what the source is. I think they have. And that's why the order has been given. In fact, if you check my social media, X and Instagram, you'll see me reposting there what the NCRA posted earlier today.
Mr. Steele, we're up on a break, but they just in short, so you can introduce your entity to Jamaicans who might not know about it. What does the Sugar Industry Authority? What's its role?
Good afternoon again. All right, so the SIA is the statutory regulator, right, of the industry. So our role is to ensure the industry operates in orderly, transparent, and standards compliant manner. So we establish and enforce standards, conduct inspections, and carry out independent sampling and laboratory analysis. We monitor manufacturing and marketing activities.
So you do testing of samples. That's what I'm hearing from you.
Yes. So we do testing of samples, but we do specific tests based on the what we call the ICUMSA standards, right? These are international standards that Sugar Quality Lab would test for specific parameters.
All right. So that means you should be able to tell us why we missed this batch then. You are the right man for that question. But please hold the answer for us when we come back from this break. Soon come.
Visit Marshall's Pharmacy, Greater Portmore, for all your prescription needs, gifts, personal care, household, and stationery items. The temperature by Marshall's Pharmacy, Greater Portmore is
29 degrees Celsius in capital city Kingston and 28 out west in the tourism mecca of Montego Bay. This is a public service announcement. The Ministry of Justice and Constitutional Affairs wishes to advise the public that effective Tuesday, April 28 to Friday, May 8, the Attorney General's chambers will be accepting service of court documents and other correspondence at the Ministry's 1A Fairway Avenue, Kingston 6 office. The Ministry apologizes for any inconvenience this change may cause and thanks you for your understanding.
Multi-link, access every time, everywhere I go. Multi-link, 24/7 access for me. It's just a win-win when we use multi-link. This card is Jamaican built, yeah. Fast and secure, you can use anywhere. Spend while supporting the economy.
Look for the multi-link logo on your card and benefit from Jamaica's largest debit payment network.
Multi-link, 24/7 access for me.
What would I do without my multi-link?
For all your electrical needs, visit ABC Electrical Sales. They stock a wide variety of electrical supplies including plugs, switches, panel boards and conduits, plus energy-saving fixtures. ABC Electrical Sales stocks brands like GE, Siemens, Philips, Cutler Hammer, and Allen Bradley. They also offer free island-wide delivery just to suit your needs. Visit them at Shop 8, Hagley Park Plaza, Kingston 10, or call 876-754-3714-5 or 876-754-3825-8. ABC Electrical Sales, for a better choice in the electrical business.
It's the Answers Amazing Sale. Get 50% off everything when you shop at Answers Gifts and Home and Answers for Children. It's the Answers Amazing Sale. Now until Saturday, May 9, 2026.
Welcome back. Welcome back. Thank you so very much for sticking and staying with us right inside the cover story on Nationwide at 5. Now, the Sugar Industry Authority, that's the SIA, says preliminary findings have revealed gaps in certain areas of the manufacturing and packaging processes at Pan Caribbean's Froome plant, particularly relating to contaminant control systems. We have the boss of the SIA on with us. He is Rupert Steele, and also the government's business minister is with us, Senator Auburn Hill. Gentlemen, thank you so much for staying with us. Mr. Steele, to you, how did we miss this? And talk to us a little more about what you found at this Froome plant in relation to the gaps that you're talking about in certain areas. How did we miss it? Do we test every batch? We know you can't test every package, but do you take a sampling of every batch of sugar that is produced by these manufacturers?
Okay, thanks again. So, no, we don't really test every batch. We have, what happens at SIA is that, well, daily samples are collected and they are sent to us each week. We do a composite of these samples, and then we do specific testing. You ask, how could we miss this? All right. So we, our lab, we test based on international recognized method established by International Commission for Uniform Method. That's the ICUMSA, right? So we test for specific parameters. These tests are usually chemical analysis. These tests are not really designed to detect, it cannot detect, like existence of physical, metal particles in the sugar, right? So that's an international standard for quality, sugar quality lab.
So if I'm hearing you,
right?
the tests that you do, you wouldn't have been able to pick up the metallic contaminant. That's what you're saying? No,
because this is mainly, physical observation and so on, and through magnitude. We don't do that as routine. However, with this incident happening, we, of course, clearly there's a area where we can strengthen, and we will be introducing this testing, because, clearly there is, we believe in continuous improvement, and we believe that we can strengthen our regulatory role.
Yeah, I get that. But Mr. Steele, how would you say to the Jamaican consumer that we do testing, but our tests would have missed metallic objects in the sugar, even though we collect, as you just said here, daily samples? Why should the Jamaican consumer get any sense of comfort from that?
As I said, the role of the SIA testing lab is a test for specific parameters based on international standards. There are various agencies that have different roles. Our role is to ensure certain sugar quality standards. For instance, how sweet the sugar is, right? We do a pole testing. We do how moist the sugar is, and so on. Right? So our testing lab was designed to monitor certain parameters for the trade, and export sugar. Now,
so who is responsible for that kind of granular testing, Mr. Steele, that looks at what might be contained in the bag? Because it sounds as if there are broken pieces of glass in the bag, the test that you conduct, you wouldn't have been able to pick that up?
No, because that's not our role. But let me say this.
So whose role is it? That's what I'm asking.
Let me say this, Tyrone. There is, we do testing for instance, for insolubles, right, which would include all of this, particles, right, dust and so on. And we have a specification for that. So we do insolubles, but we do not disaggregate the insolubles into to see what the constituent insolubles are. I said our lab is designed based off international sugar quality testing lab. We recognize that there are areas that we can strengthen, right?
Right, and I've heard that, Mr. Steve, but I'm asking you, who would do the testing that would find, in this instance, the metallic objects in the sugar, or if there is broken glass in the sugar packages? Who's responsible for that kind of testing?
Well, I mean, there are agencies responsible for food safety regulation, right? I would not specifically speak to a particular agency, but that is not our regulatory role, right? But
Mr. Steele, again, I'm not getting an answer to the question. So if you are the sugar industry, one second, just let me get an answer to what I'm asking. You're the Sugar Industry Authority. Who would be responsible, if not you, for the test that would yield the results that say, yes, there are metallic objects in these packages? Who would be responsible for that?
As you will have realized, the Bureau said I would have done some tests and found this. We do not have the capability within the SIA, and there's no prescribed procedure, as I'm trying to tell you, in terms of the sugar industry. Sugar industries across the for specific testing for metal particles. What is in place in the industry are contaminant controls. So the quality control aspect is really something that relies that the factories are responsible for. So what the sugar processing, in terms of metal, in the process chain is not unique.
All right, let me bring the minister in here, Mr. Steele. Minister, it appears we have a lacuna here that needs to be plugged.
I hear what you're saying, Tyrone. But remember, I said in my first comment that the first responsibility is for the manufacturer. When you manufacture a Toyota car or a Tesla or whichever one is on the road these days, the manufacturer has the first responsibility. I have divested 5 or 6 sugar factories. So in the process, I know how it works. I know there are chemists in there. These are the people. It's the manufacturer who has the first responsibility. For instance, the NCRA goes into stores from time to time, takes samples, and checks. But that's after the manufacturing done and some of it has been sold.
Yeah, Minister, but we hear that. So and I agree with you. The manufacturer first line of defense has the responsibility. But in the event we have a situation like this, which is why we have protocols in place. So who is responsible to do those tests?
The only entity that takes a daily sample from the sugar manufacturer is the SIA. The SIA if it identifies particles that are in there, then that should go to somebody else to do the testing to see what the particle might be.
Let me pause you right here, Minister. Let me pause you right here. So it is more than likely, and listen to this scenario, which based on responses from yourself and Mr. Steele, this is the picture that is being painted. Daily samples taken, which means the SIA might have been in possession of the contaminated sugar. But because they didn't do the test, or they don't have the capacity to do the test that would have picked up on the fact that metallic particles were in the sugar, they would have had the contaminated sugar in their possession, and it still went out to the public.
One correction there, Tyrone. Mr. Steele did not say he couldn't identify it. He said he could identify particles in there that they're, hard pieces or whatever it is, but he would not have, my understanding of what he said, that he would not have the kind of definition machine to say whether it's metal or glass or whatever. That could be done by somebody
he's
else.
here. Let him tell us. Is that what you're saying, Mr. Steele?
That's what I understood him to say.
Mr. Steele, is that what you're saying?
In a nutshell, but what I'm actually...
Hold on then. If that's what you're saying, I have a follow-up question. So did you notice the particles in the sugar?
Let me finish, please. I'm just trying to say that, in a nutshell. But what we are missing here is that our lab, we have a specific role, and all of our testing is geared toward monitoring certain parameters. Should we actually have is there room for improvement? Yes. We need to now add this dimension to our suite of tests. But I'm trying to tell you that all sugar lab, and this is not unique to Jamaica and SIA, there are unique suite of tests, and the identification of physical metal particles is not among those.
So how could you be agreeing with the minister then that you would have identified that the particles were in it?
No, I would not, because the nature of our tests are chemical analysis.
So that means what the minister just outlined is not what you're saying then. But you said yes. That's not what you're saying.
No,
yes, his first comment.
I didn't hear what you're saying.
All right. Look, so with the daily tests that you do, when you had this particular batch, you did not pick up on the fact that these particles were in this batch. You didn't see that.
No, we did not.
And you can confirm that you did receive a daily sample of this particular batch.
We received daily samples of every week's production.
Yeah, man, but I want you to answer the question I'm asking you. Did you receive a sample of this particular bad batch?
But let me explain to you. A sample is a sample. It doesn't mean that every sample is identical.
Yeah, but you're still not answering the question I'm asking you. From the batch that we have identified to be bad, did you receive a sample of that?
The investigations we are carrying out are still preliminary. We have not identified. We have not reached stage of linking batch to batch. But I'm just trying to say that we receive weekly samples like a composite.
All right.
So I can't at this stage tell you that what this sample received is for batch X, Y, and Z, because that's not how it's done.
We're out of time, but Minister, let me give you the last one, which you have to answer for me very quickly. Consumers who purchase this, they have to dispose of it or return it. What do they do? How are these consumers going to be compensated?
Well, we've made it clear that Pan Caribbean and its distributor has to pull it in, call it back from the shelves, and so on, and therefore they would have to look at restoration. And a new product, if they cannot give good product, will have to be brought in, and SIA, which are the people who would have to authorize that, will have to deal with that issue.
Will Pan Caribbean Sugar Company face any punitive sanctions, Minister?
Well, my understanding is by telling them to call everything back in, they are facing punitive. And if people bring issues to us that they have sugar that has not been compensated for, then the NCRA and our other agencies will have to get involved.
No further punitive sanctions besides that?
At this moment, I would not say, because our ministry is looking at what the legal responsibilities might be in a situation like this. So I wouldn't want to speak about this right now.
All right. Rupert Steele, CEO of Sugar Industry Authority, and the Minister of Industry, Investment and Commerce, Senator Auburn Hill. Gentlemen, thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Okay. Bye-bye.
Indeed. This has been The Cover Story. The headlines are next.
Cover Story was brought to you by
Multilink. Roll with control. Use Multilink. Safe, fast, and accepted in more locations.
The time brought to you by Guardian Life. Live secure, live easy is
2 minutes after 6.
Nationwide headlines at 6.
Good evening. With the headlines at 6, I'm Nora Gay Banton. Re-engage stakeholders about the proposed National Construction and Resilience Authority NARA legislation. That's the call from a group of 28 civil society organizations and individuals amid growing unease about the proposed legislation. The group has written to the government outlining their serious concerns about the limited scope of engagement surrounding the bill currently before Parliament. In a joint statement led by human rights and lobby group Jamaicans for Justice JFJ, the Jamaica Environment Trust JET, on Monday, the groups say despite issues raised by various stakeholders, the government has shown no signs of addressing the raft of concerns expressed by various stakeholders about NARA. JFJ and JET say they formally submitted detailed concerns and recommendations to the Office of the Prime Minister and the Leader of the Opposition on March 30, 2026. In their joint submission, JET and JFJ highlighted several critical concerns with the bill in its current form. The Ministry of Finance is searching for a new governor of the Bank of Jamaica, BOJ. This, as Richard Biles is set to demit office as the head of the central bank on August 18. Finance and the Public Service Minister, Favour Williams, announced the search for a new BOJ governor in a statement on Monday. She says the process will identify the best suited candidate, entrenching stability, modernizing the financial system, and ensuring that the gains of sound monetary policy are felt across the broader economy in jobs and investments. Minister Williams also announced that a search committee has been tasked with finding Governor Baz's replacement. The four-member committee is comprised of Calvin MacDonald, Ambassador Catherine Phipps, Professor Delroy Hunter, and Minna Israel. The country has recorded a 23% drop in homicides across the island since the start of the year. That's the latest crime update from the Jamaica Constabulary Force. It says up to April 27, 174 murders had been recorded in the country. That's 53 fewer than the 227 people killed in the corresponding period last year. According to the police, St. James leads the murder tally, recording 22 homicides since the start of the year. On the other hand, St. Andrew North has seen the biggest drop, registering only one murder over the period. Meanwhile, St. Mary Police Division has recorded significant reduction in all major crimes. Commanding officer for the division, Superintendent Anthony Wallace, gave Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness the update during a visit to the parish on Friday.
The parish of St. Mary is safe. Currently, sir, we're experiencing a 44% reduction in murders, 50% reduction in shooting, and very impressive, sir, is that our clear-up rate for murder is 120%, our clear-up rate for shooting 175%, and 81% clear-up rate for all major crimes. Sir, we are heading in the right direction.
Superintendent Wallace credited the reduction to collaborative efforts between communities and the police. Those were the headlines at 6. I'm Nora Gay Banton. Sports is next.
Don't wait for the symptoms start show. HIV test free. Make sure you know. Me take my test. Me get the news. Me take my meds. Me can't lose. Family there, support there too. We strong, we bold life, I live right through. Live bold test early. Test the HIV. No, you start a smooth surely. Me take my test. Me get the news. Me take my meds. Me can't lose. Free testing is available at health centers island-wide.
A message by the Ministry of Health and Wellness.
Mega Mart, best value by far. You can get it all here at Mega Mart. Mega Mart, best value by far. You can get it all here at Mega Mart. My Mega Mart, the best value by far. My Mega Mart, the best value by far.
We are
are the best at what we do. At Hose Assembly and Supply Limited, we supply hose, fittings, and tools. We guarantee we can't be beaten when price and quality are combined. You brand us the Hose and Tool Boss because we deliver the most effective industrial solutions. Come in and experience the joy of shopping with Hose Assembly and Supply Limited. Call us 876-923-3936 or visit 173 Hagley Park Road, 2 Charlesworth Crescent or Montego Bay Trade Center. Hose Assembly and Supply Limited. More than just hoses. Now open every Sunday.
Good evening with your sports report. I am Alric Swaby. We start with track and field as the Jamaica's Athletics Administrative Association J3s has dismissed media reports claiming that World 100 meters champion Oblique Seville withdrew from Jamaica's World Relays team due to a dispute over airline ticket costs. In a statement, the J3s said the claims are factually incorrect, clarifying that there was never any impasse between the association and Seville's representatives regarding payment of travel. Instead, the issue centered on scheduling, specifically the earliest possible return date to Miami to satisfy a contractual obligation. According to the J3As, Seville's agent was informed that the soonest available flight that would allow his return to Miami was after midday on May 5, and an earlier return could not be guaranteed. The association further revealed that on April 21, it received a written confirmation from Seville's manager, Norman Peart, indicating the athlete's withdrawal from the World Relays team. The correspondents also expressed support for the team and reaffirmed Seville's availability for the 4x100 meters relay moving forward. The J3 says it looks forward to Seville's continued participation as a member of Jamaica's national team. An American sprinter, Kenny Bednarek, explained that one of his biggest inspiration in the sport of track and field is Jamaica's Johan Blake. Bednarek, a two-time Olympic silver medalist in the men's 200 meters, added that competing against Blake on the circuit was always a special moment for him.
For me, when I was watching track, I know a lot of people say Usain, but I said for me it was Johan. He was the second fastest person on the planet at that time. I mean, he still is technically, but I don't know, there's something about him that I really liked, and that gravitated me towards him. And I mean, even now, I remember seeing him at one of the races. Cool, just to kind of see him, get to know him as a person. But he's somebody that I've always looked up to.
Now, according to the sprinter known as Kung Fu Kenny, whenever he steps on the track, he always aims to be the best version of himself, similar to his inspiration, Blake.
My motivation has always been the best version of myself when I step on the track. I've always been about self-improvement, whether it's being a better man, better son, or a better athlete. And when it comes to like being a professional track and field athlete, I want to be the best I can be, break records, set those goals high because I know they're attainable. And by the end of all this, I'm trying to be financially free. So yeah, but that's my why. Just trying to be the best version of myself every single time I step on the track.
Kenny Bednarek. Now to some cricket, as West Indies Test captain Ruston Chase and Joshua Bishop grabbed a combined 9 wickets to dismiss the Jamaica Scorpions for 142 late on day 2 of their West Indies Championship encounter at Sabina Park. Chase ended with 5 for 28 and Bishop 4 for 31 as the Scorpions' innings lasted just 169 minutes, with Captain John Campbell 36, Kirk McKenzie 31 and Javel Glenn 21 showing any resistance. The Scorpions have been asked to follow on and at stumps were 22 for 1, still 275 runs behind. Earlier, the Pride added 93 to their overnight score to be all out for 439. Chase added just 2 to his overnight score before he was dismissed for 84, while Lenny Boucher went for 50. Markina Minley and Odin Smith bagged 3 wickets each. Over at the Antigua Recreation Ground, Captain Joshua De Silva made 220 as the Trinidad and Tobago Red Force declared on 522 for 9 against Leeward Islands Hurricanes, who closed on 88 for 4 in reply. At Coleridge Cricket Ground, Windward Islands Volcanoes fell short of first innings against Guyana RP Eagles after they were bowled out for 223, responding to 242 all out. Guyana closed on 44 for 2, batting a second time with an overall lead of 63. Now, former Jamaica and West Indies all-rounder James Jimmy Adams explained that playing extensive domestic cricket for local team Kingston Cricket Club was a solid foundation that enabled him to perform well at the international level.
There was a rich mix of sort of generations here, and all of them really made me feel welcome and were very helpful over different periods in my career. And then just what the facility represented, it was the international ground, and over time I just became very familiar with it. Every blade of grass, I knew the wicket inside out. The atmosphere here, even before these stands were built, was something that I was very much aware of, and it became part of the whole experience.
Now, the talented left-handed batsman who represented Jamaica from 1984 to 2001 further stated that during his playing days in regional cricket, the competitive level was at an all-time high, and the different venues around the Caribbean were almost packed for each game.
The atmosphere here, even before these stands were built, was something that I was very much aware of, and it became part of the whole experience. A full house was just very loud, as any Caribbean full house can be. And I grew up experiencing the big crowds, even at regional level, to be honest. And the occasional club game, when Kingston played Michael Holding's Melbourne or Lawrence Rose, Kensington, you would see more people than you get for Test cricket now. And international games, it was fantastic. The noise, it was a little bit intimidating.
Jimmy Adams. Now to some footballers, Mullines United are leading Tivoli Gardens 1-0 at sports time in their crucial Ray Neville Jamaica Premier League encounter at Drax Hall. Striker Nicholas Nelson bagged the lone goal in the 13th minute.
Pass to Nelson, and he opens the scoring. He just can't stop scoring at the moment, can he? 16th of the season for Nicholas Nelson.
Now a win for Mullines, who are in 12th on 36 points, will move them further away from the drop zone, while a Tivoli win will keep them in 9th, both a point behind 9th place. In the second game of a doubleheader, Mount Pleasant will battle Waterhouse at 7:30. Now, the management of Spanish Town Police FC is already looking ahead as they consider a swift return to the Ray Neville Jamaica Premier League after relegation from the nation's top flight was confirmed on Sunday. The Old Harbour-based unit crashed 6-2 to Chapel Maroons uneven with 2 games remaining in their first ever season of Premier League football. Spanish Town is sure to finish at the bottom of the 14-team league. The club has managed only 7 wins this season with 5 draws and 25 defeats and has a total of 26 points. General Manager Demar Emley sought to explain to Nationwide Sports on Monday what has gone wrong in their debut season.
A lot went wrong. It was a matter of us not getting the basics right in a couple of the games. You find that the team is a bit inconsistent in terms of our play. When we're good, we're very good, and we start against Mount Pleasant, we start against Dunbowling. But when we're bad, we're really bad. And just a matter of not being good majority of the time. So that's what basically had us. And then with the games playing back to back a lot of times, 3 games in a week with a very small squad like what we had, it just took a really bad impact on us in terms of physical play and matching the teams that are well established in the league.
Now, the club has 2 games to play against Racing United and Hornet Gardens, and Emily says the plan is to be honest with their effort until the very end.
Next 2 games, we want to give a good account of ourselves. We want to win those 2 games. Next plan of action is definitely come and rebuild again. We have a full rebuild, but I think now we can have the team playing now in the tier 2. We can get the sponsors from the whole Harbour region. We can now fix up our own ground to have games played there. So with tier 2 playing in there, we'll have the backing of the community, and with that, the financial backing as well. And then from there, we can just merge up, come up into the Premier League and be better outfit. So within next year, we should be back in the Premier League with the quality of players that we have, the quality of youngsters that we have as well, because we have quite a few really exciting youngsters.
Demar Emley. And Manchester United move closer to securing a spot in next season's European Champions League with a clinical 2-1 win over Brentford in the English Premier League at Old Trafford on Monday. First half goals from Brazil's captain Casemiro and Slovenia's international Benjamin Sesko did the job for United, who've now moved up to 61 points in third, just 4 points from returning to Europe's elite.
Now what's Marky Maguire? Casemiro, and it's in! It's 3-on-2. It's Bruno Fernandes. Who does he pick? Sesko! That's so! Does he fancy it? That's brilliant. What a strike from Matthias Jensen.
Now and finally in volleyball, Immaculate Conception High will take on Champions Knox College in the Issa All Island Girls Volleyball Championships at G.C. Foster College on Wednesday, setting the stage for an exciting showdown between rising contender and an established powerhouse. Immaculate secured their spot in the final after defeating Wolmer's High School for girls 3-1 in the Urban Era Schoolgirls Championship final on Friday. The victory marked a historic milestone for the team as it was their first ever title in volleyball. Head coach Nicholas Wilson believes the upcoming All-Island final will deliver a memorable experience.
I think it's going to be a spectacle for the neutral fans. I think we want to go out there and give our best. We're not going to go out there and just lie down. We are going to compete because that's what I teach my girls to do. We are going to compete and we're going to give our best. We're hoping that we can push them and also push ourselves to limits that we haven't pushed ourselves before. And we're hoping and we're confident that we can win the All-Island title as well.
Now in the boys division, Papine High will face defending champions Orocabessa High in what is also expected to be a fiercely competitive encounter. Papine earned their place in the final with a 3-1 win over Wolmer's Boys School, showing resilience and determination throughout their campaign. Head coach Philando Thompson is anticipating a tough battle, emphasizing that his team is preparing for an intense clash against the reigning champions.
I can just imagine that, things will definitely, as in for the game itself, it will be a more intense game. So definitely we will be going back to the drawing board. We'll be training, running some plays because we know for a fact that it will be an intense match.
Philando Thompson, I'm Alex Ribby, and that's your sports.
Ready to upgrade your drive? Hyundai and Scotiabank are making it easier for you. Right now, you can drive away in a brand new Hyundai with an interest rate as low as 4.99%. Low interest rate, zero processing fees, and 1 year free insurance with Scotia Protect. Whether it's the compact Hyundai Venue, the bold Palisade, the stylish Tucson, or the dynamic Creta, Hyundai has the perfect vehicle waiting for you. So visit our showrooms at 7 Oxford Road, Kingston, or Providence Drive, Montego Bay, and get behind the wheel of a brand new Hyundai. Hyundai Jamaica. Because of you, conditions apply.
Enough power tool, big to small. Jack on my figure, dig the wall. Upper Total Tools. Weed whacker figure, trim the lawn. We have everything a job demand. Total Tools. We rent them, sell them, and fix them. Also give Total Tools a call. When I say home improvement, landscape construction, a Total Tools are your option. Home improvement, landscape construction, Total Tools are your option.
Total Tools, located at 102 Main Street, Ocho Rios, 34 Slipe Road, Kingston.
And lot C6 Jacksaw, Sentence Bay. Call us today.
Multi-link, access every time, everywhere I go. Multi-link, 24/7 access for me. It's just a win-win when we use multi-link. This card is Jamaican built, yeah. Fast and secure, you can use anywhere. Spend while supporting the economy.
Look for the multi-link logo on your card and benefit from Jamaica's largest debit payment network.
Multi-link, 24/7 access for me.
What would I do without my multi-link?
From the biggest tracks to the biggest energy, Nationwide keeps it moving. If you love the vibes, come and lock in with us for real.
World boss, leave a prison could stop me.
Join the Nationwide 90 FM Family Club today on Patreon.
Practice. God, me say you watch you over me practice.
Every day, Jamaicans have something to say. In the group chats, on social media, in the streets, there's a place where it all comes together. The comment section. This is not a lecture. This is not a call-in show. This is the hottest topics of the day, filtered through real opinions, real WhatsApp messages, real voice notes, real reactions. You agree, disagree, sound off, text it, voice note it, debate it. Comments section, Monday to Friday from 7 to 7:30 p.m. only on Nationwide 90 FM, the new revolution in media.
It's Monday, get over your blues.
for Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday.
The E-Zone is here for you.
With the Stinger Honeybee
And Karimboy things
from 3 to 5 p.m.
on Nationwide 90 FM. We've got your entertainment news.
Then we want to hear your views. What you say?
Jump in the mix.
Or the hot seat.
Don't miss our brain busters.
Or the crazy giveaways.
Let's talk fashion.
Send us your outfit of the day. Ooh, cutesy. Very demure.
Are you looking for love?
Come on one of our blind dates. Send your request to ezoneblindates@gmail.com. That's ezoneblindates@gmail.com.
And stay tuned for your confessions.
These are my confessions. Share them with us at ezoneconfessions@yahoo.com. I mean, is this planet Earth?
Is it?
I don't know. Let me check. Either way, it's got a buzz.
And a bugger thing.
Ow. Ow.
What's everyone talking about? It's Front Page in This Morning. Get the issue of the day this and every weekday morning at 7:20 a.m. on Front Page. This Morning. Morning radio the right way. Front Page is brought to you by ABC Electrical for a better choice in the electrical business.
Merle Grove High School on May 15, it's your time. The NNN School Tour 2026 is bringing energy, talent, and excitement straight to your school.
So pull up your pants and put it on your waist and
we're pulling up to highlight student talent and creativity while bringing the fun with games, exciting prizes, and live performances you won't want to miss.
Missing.
It's all going down on May 15 from 1 to 4 p.m. at Merle Grove High School. Don't miss the vibes, the fun, and your chance to shine. See you there. This broadcast is brought to you by the Police Civilian Oversight Authority, Tip Friendly Society, LMH Publishing, Wisinco Group, Digicel, Nutrition Products Limited, and Mystic Mountain, Jamaica.
Hi there. Here's some good news for these trying times. Quote, "By God's word, I can see where I'm going. They throw a beam of light on my dark path." Unquote. Psalm 119, verse 105. Listen for God's word weekdays at 5:45 a.m. and 12:55 p.m. through
Oasis. Stop by for a refreshing drink and share a God perspective for the day.
Oasis. Weekdays 5:45 a.m. and 12:55 p.m. right here on Nationwide, a revolution in media.
The rebroadcast of the Oasis can be heard weekdays at 5:45 a.m.
Wake up, Jamaica.
It's another glorious day on Nationwide this morning. From your 6 a.m. alarm to the news at 6. Coming up in the news at 6 to me telling you what's on my mind.
To more news at 7 a.m. Coming up in the news at 7. And then the biggest issues dissected, interrogated, and discussed on the front page. Nationwide this morning fires you up and sets you right for the remainder of the day.
And there's much more until 9 a.m. Want to know which roads to avoid on your morning commute?
Time now for Street Smarts 2 with Little Clean.
Listen to Street Smart.
Want to hear more about things happening at the community level outside the bustling corporate area? Listen to Across Jamaica.
George, it's someone's birthday. Happy birthday, yeah, my friend. And that someone will hear a special greeting every morning via the Birthday Club.
Nationwide this morning on the revolution in media.
It's coffee, tea, and everything else
for those who want an energetic, rip-roaring start to their day.
Good evening, thank you.
Welcome back. Top of the evening to you. You're still live inside Nationwide at 5. We're inside the nation's business, and inside the nation's business, we want to turn our attention to the matter of the National Reconstruction and Resilience Authority, NARA legislation. It's a piece of legislation that is consequential, and it's, of course, causing quite a bit of public discourse and debate. Now, re-engage stakeholders about the proposed NARA legislation. That's the call from a group of 28 civil society organizations and individuals amid growing unease about the proposed piece of legislation. Now, the group has written to the government outlining their serious concerns about the limited scope of engagement surrounding the bill currently before Parliament. Here's Mahiri Stewart with our report.
In a joint statement led by human rights lobby group Jamaicans for Justice, JFJ, and Jamaica Environment Trust, JET, on Monday, the groups say despite issues raised by various stakeholders, the government has shown no signs of addressing the raft of concerns expressed by various stakeholders about NARA. JFJ and JET say they formally submitted detailed concerns and recommendations to the Office of the Prime Minister and the Leader of the Opposition on March 30. In their joint submission, JET and JFJ highlighted several critical concerns with the bill in its current form. These include the highly centralized CEO-driven structure with insufficient independent oversight and weak provisions for transparency, accountability, and public participation. The submission also expressed worry about what it says is the absence of a clearly defined governing board with delineated responsibilities and inadequate safeguards to ensure long-term resilience, environmental protection, and public trust. It adds that to date, no response has been received from the Office of the Prime Minister, leaving uncertainty as to whether these submissions are being meaningfully considered in the parliamentary process. The statement highlights commentary in the media, as well as statements from the Incorporated Master Builders Association of Jamaica, West Central St. James MP Marlene Malahoo Fort of the JLP, and several members of the opposition as instances in which concerns were raised about NARA. The group says despite the range of perspectives, the tone of the government's side of the debate appears more focused on defending the bill than constructively addressing legitimate critique and alternative proposals. In light of these shortcomings, the groups are calling for the immediate convening of a genuine multi-stakeholder dialogue. They want the written submissions from all relevant stakeholder groups to be accepted within the next 2 weeks, followed by structured discussions over 1 to 2 days to fully interrogate the issues raised. The groups say if this does not happen, the government should instead follow Opposition Leader Mark Golding's suggestion of establishing a joint select committee with deliberations and recommendations completed within 6 weeks. They note that while they recognize the urgency of advancing legislation to support post-Hurricane Melissa reconstruction and long-term national resilience, expediency must not come at the expense of good governance. Mahiri Stewart, for Nationwide News.
Thank you so much for that report there, Mahiri. We're being joined in this segment by the CEO of the Jamaica Environment Trust, the JET. That's Dr. Teresa Rodriguez Moody. Top of the evening to you, Dr. Rodriguez Moody.
Hi, good evening, Tyrone. Thanks so much for having me.
I appreciate you making the time to share your thoughts with us. We're up on a break, Dr. Rodriguez Moody. Please stay with us. Don't touch that dial. This is Nationwide at 5. We take the break right here and come back with more.
Drive the most exciting new vehicles in Jamaica. Schedule your 2024 Ford Ranger pickup or Ford Everest 7-seater SUV test drive now. Call or visit KIG today.
The time by KIG is
6:31. All right, welcome back. Thank you so much for staying with us. This is Nationwide at 5. Dr. Teresa Rodriguez Moody, the CEO of the Jamaica Environment Trust, JET, is with us. You are a signatory to this letter from 28 civil society organizations and individuals amid what is being described as growing unease about the proposed legislation called the NARA. Now, talk to us. Why did you see the need? I want to hear from you personally to be a signatory to this piece of legislation, the opposition to it in its current construct, I should say.
Well, I think NARA is an important entity to be formed. And we've seen examples of such an organization after major disasters in other different jurisdictions. Dominica, New Zealand, Cayman, and so it's a necessary entity. Nobody's disputing that. I think what we are concerned with, and one of the reasons why I got particularly interested was just in terms of looking at things related to the environment, and then I started to dig down and look at different aspects of the bill in relation to accountability and so forth. So I think that it's not just about accountability, and it's about things like public consultation. It's about language that is quite broad in relation to how the vulnerable groups are to be engaged. It speaks to relevant, engage with relevant persons. It doesn't really speak about a commitment to transparency, speak about a commitment to accountability. So these are just some concerns which I see better examples echoed in other jurisdictions, and I think we have an opportunity. We have an opportunity to learn from other countries that have gone through similar cases, have gone through and set up different similar organizations. They've learned. They must have lessons that we can learn from, and therefore, if we have an issue with already having an issue with things like accountability, transparency, public engagement, then why are we repeating it in such a powerful and important entity?
Look, let me stay within your area of expertise just for the next little while, Dr. Teresa Rodriguez Moody. But before I do, let me just tell our listeners and viewers that we did try for other signatories to this joint statement, but we weren't able to secure any of them for the program. All right. But in terms of specifically what you've looked at, I know you've mentioned that some of the references seem a bit too nondescript. But what are some of the other concerns, shortcomings that you've identified, having read the proposed legislation as it relates to the environment?
So we had recommended, and this is in our original submission, March 30, we had recommended that the very beginning of the bill, where you have the purpose and objects, that we need to be forward-looking. It needs to have a clause that prioritizes resilience and build back better principles, including explicit commitments to things like transparency, accountability, and long-term sustainability. Now, there are some other things in terms of oversight, in terms of ministerial directions to high-level policy only. We saw that the appointment of NARA is basically composed of the CEO to take directions from the minister, who might be the prime minister. It's not very clear. In terms of, we spoke about public participation, that we need to be very clear in terms of meaningful engagement with those who have been affected. It's the language in the bill doesn't speak to that. We saw where, for example, in other examples, in like Dominica, what they basically put it forward like the people that have been most impacted must be a part of the decision-making process. They must be a part of all the consultations that take place to decide the type of projects and so forth. Now, I know we're not really good at that, engaging the public in a very meaningful way in this country, and so I think that if we're talking, for example, about Black River, too many people are not aware of what might happen in Black River in the rebuild process. They're the ones that have been impacted. They need to be a part of the discussion. So these are just some of the examples.
But how would you incorporate them in the formation of this kind of legislation? How would you incorporate?
I don't mean in terms of the formation, but in terms of how are you going to go about selecting projects, identifying projects. It says it's to be identified by cabinet and approved. This is what the bill is saying, but in terms of, and it then speaks to allowing for consultations with relevant people. So what I'm saying is that the bill needs to be a little bit more explicit in terms of who should be consulted, when they should be consulted. So
again, the language needs to be more specific. So the language needs to be amended to be more specific, to say which groups and what should be the nature of the consultation.
Yes, I don't necessarily mean which groups. I mean, for example, vulnerable groups, to be specific. So it speaks about vulnerable locations, and then it speaks about consultations with relevant persons. But who are the relevant persons? So you can get more specific in a bill. And I hear the pushback. I see the pushback by different government ministers that are saying, "Oh, we don't need to we don't need to be so precise with the language. We just need to be focused on the action." The fact is that we have seen that legislation that is either too broad in its language or allows for broad discretionary, for example, has created or has resulted in some serious problems. And this is one of the things that we have an opportunity to get it right in the language, to eliminate those possibilities for overstep, overreach, or not enough consultations and these different things. And I'm just using these as an example, but we need to, where we know we have an issue with, where we know we've seen these issues with in other in other legislation, we need to get it right here.
The statement says, in light of these shortcomings, the groups are calling for the immediate convening of a genuine multi-stakeholder dialogue. They want the written submissions from all relevant stakeholder groups to be accepted within the next 2 weeks, followed by structured discussions over 1 to 2 days to fully interrogate the issues raised. Quite a bit there. The time frame that you see all of this being able to be done looks like what? Because, of course, there is the component of needing to get this work done.
Yes, I understand. But I mean, if right now all we're getting is many people have been raising concerns in different ways, and not all of them in opposition. And we need to engage with those concerns in a meaningful way. So what we're suggesting here is not go towards pushing towards a joint select committee, but at least first, ideally, allow for these comments to come in a way, and then engage with them in a meaningful way. Allow for, if you need to have presentations or whatever, not just what we're seeing right now, which is just a pushback, right? Everything that is being said, there's no real engagement on the issues, there's just pushback. You raise you raise the issue about accountability, you hear the pushback about, oh no, we have all of these different mechanisms in place, so things will be fine. You raise the issue, you raise another issue, you get another, oh, don't worry about it. We will, it won't be an issue. We need to stop talking about these things and we just need to act. If we don't get it right, then we'll have billions of dollars that are spent inappropriately, possibly. I'm not necessarily saying that is going to be the case, but if we don't, everybody knows, it's well documented that after a disaster, we have billions of dollars flowing in, and there can be these funds, if there's not clear accountability and transparency associated with how the funds are spent, there's a lot of corruption that can happen.
So the written submissions, and you did say JET did submit written positions on the bill.
Correct.
Those have not been accepted. When you say accepted, those have not been received and looked at?
Well, we have not even received an acknowledgement, so we don't even know. However, on April 14, we understand that a revised bill was tabled, and actually some of the concerns that we had expressed, for example, the dissolution of the organization, it was just said I think the first version would have said something along the lines of the bill will be dissolved, or the organization will be dissolved. And now it's more specific to say that it will be dissolved by the minister. So there have been some minor changes that looks like some of the concerns may have been addressed or looked at, but with this, we still have to go back to see.
No, but hold on then there, Dr. Teresa Rodriguez. Mm-hmm. So if some of the suggestions you included were eventually that you submitted were eventually included in a version of the bill, why wouldn't you think then that your submissions have been accepted?
Well, I don't know if that they engage with our submissions. That's just one minor change to say that it will be reviewed by the minister. We highlighted it as an issue. We've had interviews. It's quite possible that they have taken it into consideration, but we don't know for sure because it's not even been acknowledged.
Because they're not communicating with you.
There's no communication, correct,
So who did you address your submissions to?
to the Prime Minister.
And there's been no acknowledgement, but you have seen a change in what was tabled.
At least one change. So we still do need to go through in greater detail, and I do believe that there needs to be other technical experts that engage on the matter. And I think that if we have, and this is why we're calling for a set time period, because we understand that there is a concern that, listen, we don't need to have extensive dialogue. We need to be focused and get it done. And we've seen where when these things are, it's possible. So if we put forward, and if the government says, listen, we're going to be accepting submissions over the next 2 weeks, and then we're going to engage with them in a meaningful way, and we're going to debate them, identify whether or not we agree with them, push back, give reasons why maybe this won't work or whatever. I think that's something that makes sense. You know, I don't see why there should be pushback on something as simple as that.
I want to come back to if the government decides to push through the legislation in its current construct without accepting the recommendations, the plethora of recommendations being made. I want to leave that for last. But I want to ask you, this is the part of the statement that really got me to sit up in my chair, because I'm not so certain that we should go down this road, given the immediate nature of what we need to start addressing with the rebuilding effort. It says the group say, if this does not happen, meaning, of course, those genuine acceptance or acknowledging of the submissions by the relevant bodies, the government should instead follow opposition leader Mark Golding's suggestion of establishing a joint select committee with deliberations and recommendations completed within 6 weeks. You did mention, you're not necessarily saying we need to go down that road, but clearly the statement pointed to this as a course of action. But certainly, given the immediacy of the needs out in Western Jamaica in particular, we can't necessarily go that route.
No, and that's why it's not the first suggestion. I think, I don't see what is prohibiting the government from meaningfully engaging on some of the concerns, because I think that they're valid concerns. I mean, people are concerned about basic things, about including transparency, accountability measures, even, for example, environmental and social safeguards. There's nothing that says that these major projects must require an environmental impact assessment. And so these are things that I don't see why it wouldn't be, remember, we're not talking about millions of dollars. We're talking about billions of dollars. We're talking about people's lives that have been completely upended. And, of course, we want to see them rebuild their lives. We want to see towns that have been destroyed to be rebuilt. But not at the, speed does not necessarily mean that we turn around and we eliminate a lot of these checks and balances that are necessary.
And you can do both. You can move with alacrity and still do the necessary checks and balances. And that's what the group is calling for.
Correct. That's exactly what we're calling for.
My final question to you, Dr. Rodriguez-Moody, is should the Holiness Administration push through the bill in its current construct without any acknowledgement or acceptance of any of the suggestions put on the table? What should right-thinking, well-thinking Jamaicans think of that?
Well, that suggests that there's an unwillingness to engage on some serious concerns that people that are, this is not just a partisan issue, right? So people from both sides and technical groups and academic groups have actually raised as a concern. So I think that also sends a strong signal to say that we're not really interested in engaging on some of these serious matters.
And for those who might push back and say governments are elected to govern and we should allow them to do that, what would be your response?
But they're representing the people as well. So they're not elected to do what they want to do. They're elected to implement the will of the people. And if people are saying that hold on, something is wrong with this bill, there needs to be other checks and balances in place, there needs to be different things set up, then I think that they need to pay attention. I understand that the Prime Minister will be speaking tomorrow, and I sincerely hope that he will be addressing some of these concerns.
The voice you just heard there is that of Dr. Teresa Rodriguez Moody. She's the CEO of Jamaica Environment Trust, JET, speaking to us on the proposed NARA legislation. Dr. Rodriguez Moody, thanks as always. We appreciate the time and the thoughts.
Thanks for having me.
Indeed. This has been The Nation's Business. We'll take a break right here. When we come back, we'll take you around the world.
For all your electrical needs, visit ABC Electrical Sales. They stock a wide variety of electrical supplies, including plugs, switches, panel boards, and conduits, plus energy-saving fixtures. ABC Electrical Sales stocks brands like GE, Siemens, Philips, Cutler Hammer, and Allen Bradley. They also offer free island-wide delivery just to suit your needs. Visit them at Shop 8, Hagley Park Plaza, Kingston 10, or call 876-754-3714-5 or 876-754-3825-8. ABC Electrical Sales, for a better choice in the electrical business.
Want to invest in premium Jamaican real estate? Now you can with the high-performing Money Masters M7 Real Estate Fund. Start with just $10,000. Your money is professionally pooled into income-generating properties like the modern Sana development. Enjoy regular income potential, property appreciation, and access to top-tier real estate, all managed for you. Call 876-744-1980 or email the word INVEST to info@moneymastersgroupja.com. Money Masters, where your bigger financial dreams become reality.
Welcome back. Thank you so very much for sticking with us. We're inside the segment we call Around the World. Now, we take you into the U.S. Its president, Donald Trump, lashed out at CBS News' Norah O'Donnell in an interview Sunday for quoting from the manifesto of the suspected gunman who tried to storm the White House Correspondents' Dinner less than 24 hours earlier. Trump had initially expressed a sense of camaraderie with members of the press corps who hosted him at their annual dinner and experienced the same initial panic when armed law enforcement agents stormed into the ballroom. But when O'Donnell, during an interview recorded at the White House on Sunday, quoted from the accused gunman Cole Allen's apparent manifesto, Trump, who'd been relatively subdued in his responses, told O'Donnell that she was a disgrace. More in this report from CNN.
The president did an interview with 60 Minutes overnight on the event itself and the investigation. There was one question he really did not like. Let's get to CNN Chief Media Analyst Brian Stelter for the latest on this. Good morning to you. Long time no see.
Yeah, hey, good morning. Axios put it really well this morning. It said one uncomfortable question was all it took for President Trump to resume hostilities with the media. Here is that exchange with CBS's Norah O'Donnell from last night.
He writes this quote, "Administration officials, they are targets." And he also wrote this, "I am no longer willing to permit a pedophile, rapist, and traitor to coat my hands with his crimes." What's your reaction to that?
Well, I was waiting for you to read that because I knew you would, because you're horrible people, horrible people. Yeah, he did write that. I'm not a rapist. I didn't rape anybody.
Do you think he was referring to you?
Excuse me. I'm not a pedophile. You read that crap from some sick person. You should be ashamed of yourself reading that, because I'm not any of those things.
Mr. President,
and I
these
was
are
never,
the gunman's words.
Excuse me. You shouldn't be reading that on 60 Minutes. You're a disgrace.
I want to tell you two things about that. Number one, this is President Trump as we've always known him. This is not surprising. What was surprising was that on Saturday night, he was calm and respectful. He showed, a different demeanor toward the press corps. People wondered if that was going to last. Now we know it's not going to last. His final post on Truth Social before the dinner was attacking the New York Times, and now he's mad at CBS. I also want to note that CBS is owned by Paramount, which is trying to buy WBD, the parent company of CNN. On Thursday night in Washington, Paramount held a dinner honoring the Trump White House. The president was there. Norah O'Donnell was reportedly there as well. I don't know that for a fact, but it was reported that she was there. So there was this report about schmoozing between CBS and Trump. And yet, on Sunday night, a tough, important, fair interview by CBS of the president, one the president bristled at. Just want viewers to notice that as you read about Paramount trying to take over CNN.
Can you talk about leading up to the dinner, what was going on between Trump and CBS?
It's been a long, tenuous relationship, Audie. CBS's parent company, Paramount, is seeking regulatory approval to acquire Warner Brothers Discovery, which is also the parent company to CNN. And leading up to that, a lot of outsiders believe that CBS News and Paramount made certain concessions to be able to ensure that they could be in Trump's good graces to get that regulatory approval. So, for example, they settled for $16 million a $20 billion lawsuit that legal experts believe they could have won with the president. They canceled Steve Colbert's show, which they said was for financial reasons. And then they hired this woman named Bari Weiss. They acquired her website, The Free Press, and put her in charge of CBS News. And people feel like all of these moves were done to placate the administration. So then for Donald Trump to come out now on live air and bash 60 Minutes, it's a really great example of the fact that you could do everything that you want to try to game the system, to try to develop a strong relationship with the president. But ultimately, at the end of the day, it serves him to continue to call the mainstream media fake news and bash the press.
At the same time, he talked pretty positively about the dinner experience itself, kind of before the attack. And it did seem like somehow CBS, especially with the White House Correspondents' Dinner president being from CBS, had opened a door to him for the White House press corps for a relationship that has been so acrimonious.
Donald Trump is an opportunist. He is one of these people who understands very well how to work the media to be able to get what he needs out of the media. And as a result of that, he can have it both ways. He can say that this was becoming a very, improved relationship on one end. And then when it doesn't serve him, when he's being tossed a question he doesn't like, just revert back to the talking points that the mainstream media is fake news and that they're not nice to conservatives. And so that's the reason you're going to always see that polar response. He's done that in so many different situations. I think one thing that the president does very well, he picks his moments where he knows that unity is a winning message, not just for him, but for the entire country. And in a moment where there's potentially a very serious attack, he knew that that was the moment to continue on this message of unity, as opposed to continuing on this message of fighting between the press corps and his administration.
The context to this.
That report there, of course, the relationship between President Trump and the press in the U.S. is quite something to look at. Of course, as I was saying earlier, that report from CNN there, but a real terrible thing happening with that gunman storming the correspondents' dinner. Really, really sad to see those scenes in the United States. But that's all we have time for. That's where we're going to bring the curtains down on today's edition of the program. I want to thank our producer, Dana Davey. Thanks to our technical operator, Andrew Glenn Anderson. Yeah, that's his name, folks. They're just a set, Andrew and Glenn together. Thanks to all the hardworking members of the news and production team led by our editor, Cara Powell. This has been the Monday edition of Nationwide at 5. I'm Tyrone Reed saying good evening.